Hi, I'm Deb Dyer. We're inside my indoor arena at my barn in Blacksburg, Virginia. If you're seeing this video, it means that your child is the much beloved student of a riding instructor who is talking with me about a very unique partnership that will provide benefits for your children. I want to talk with you about that. You see, a lot of us think that riding is this, the getting on the horse and going someplace. I've been teaching people to ride for 45 years. I teach, I take kids to horse shows, I coach at the world champion level. This last year at our world championships, my students brought home 6 new championship titles and 2 reserve high points in their division. They're all-rounders. My students ride Western and hunt seat and saddle seat, and they do all the specialty events from showmanship to horsemanship and equitation, Western riding and trail. I personally love great reining horses. That's the only game that I play when I go to show anymore. But that's not important to our conversation. What's important to our conversation is this. Because I have taught students for so many years, I am very aware that right now your student rider is suffering. They're suffering because they can't get in the barn they love and be around their friends and be with their riding instructor and continue to learn this beautiful art form called horsemanship. If you were a horse crazy kid, you already understand that suffering. And if you're not, I want to take just a minute to talk with you about why that happens. You see, horses are absolute mirrors of ourselves. They are our finest friends. They never tell anyone our secrets. There are natural connections at both the physical level and the emotional or psychological level between who we are as human beings and the horses that we ride. It is an extraordinary thing to be a horse crazy kid. There is no offer that you as a parent can make them that will substitute for the love and the joy and the empowerment and the freedom they get when they go to the barn. The world is full of difficult circumstances. Your children may struggle at school or struggle making friends. They may sometimes be lonely or isolated. It is a universal condition as human beings that we experience the notion that we are not enough or we are not loved enough. Those things happen even in families where as parents, and I am one, I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I know from not only working with thousands of other people's children over the last 40 years, but also raising my own. And man, we were in close quarters because I homeschooled those darlings. I know that the children find refuge in the barn, that this is the place where they feel 100% accepted, that this is the place where they are creating relationships, not only with other people, but with themselves, where they're learning about who they are as people, where they're understanding that there's a connection between what you say you're going to do, your doing of that work, and how you get to claim the result of that work. That, by the way, is the source of self-esteem, that you give your word to something and then you keep your word by the actions that you take. People get that all wrong. They think self-esteem is about praise. It's not. It's about earned praise. And that happens here in the barn. Your riding instructor is not here to fluff your child up. They're here to be spokesmen of truth. And because your child is separated from all of that, from the joyous love and affection they feel with and for the horses, from being in a space where they're totally accepted because all the other kids there are also horse crazy kids, to having that solid adult professional be part of the community safety net that loves and protects your children, in part by telling them what the real world is about. You know, one of the things for me that is so absolutely critical about riding programs is that there's always a competitive piece to it, right? There's always competition, and it's real. We take kids to horse shows, and we know that they're going to sometimes have joy and sometimes have disappointment. And our job as coaches, as riding coaches, is to help them learn to deal gracefully with disappointment, because the real world is full of that. Don't you know? You have to compete, right? You compete for jobs. You compete for mates. You compete for where you live or the parking space that you get. You as an adult have all kinds of real competition in your world. And your children are getting skilled at that, are getting little inoculations, little vaccines against the difficulties of the world. And they get that in their riding program. Right now, they're suffering both short-term consequences because they want to be in the barn, and long-term. Do you want me to talk with you about the long-term consequences of having your children not be involved in their riding program? The first one is this. Children have access to learning about themselves in powerful ways because the horses are living sentient beings that demand that we be present in the moment, that we be focused on what we're doing, and that we over time develop more and more and more compassion for the world around us simply by being with them. And your child is presently separated from that. Instead, they're getting to spend a lot of time online, both in learning activities and entertainment, right? Or maybe they're outside taking walks and the like. That would be good for their mental and physical health. Please do that, right? But the unique benefits that are available from horses are outside of their scope right now. And the worst thing that could possibly happen for your child is that 12 weeks from now or 12 months from now, gosh, I hope this doesn't go on that long, at some time in the future, simply because they haven't been in the barn, they might get dulled down to needing to be in the barn. Right now, that need is present, and you're probably hearing about it in your household. Oh, I wish I could go to the barn. When is this going to be over so that I can ride? But the long-term thing will be if they just experience resignation, if they accept this thing we're calling a new normal as something that deprives them of the joy and this great life learning experience that they've been able to have in the barn with their riding instructor, with their horses, and with their friends. I'm begging you, yes, I am. I'm begging you to trust your riding instructor. They have done the due diligence. They've checked me out. If you want to do it too, I'm perfectly okay with that. Business is called Advantage Ranch. Can you see it there on the back of my jacket? Advantage Ranch is in Blacksburg, Virginia. It has a website, www.advantageranch.com. That was easy, wasn't it? You're welcome to look at it. It will talk with you about my philosophies about teaching and riding and children. You'll see that we do lots of different programs there. It's a pretty integrated business. And we're bringing all of what we know, what I've learned from 45 years of teaching and what we've learned about integrating all of these businesses exactly so that your child can thrive, not just survive the next little bit of time, but thrive. That's my goal, and that's the goal of your riding instructor. And I'm inviting you to say yes to the invitation that they've made. It's going to work like this. This is getting to be a long explanation, isn't it? Say yes, because this is what we're going to deliver for your student. I'm going to be creating an access point for them to come into a portal where they're going to see 12 individual lessons. Now, to tell you the truth, the lessons have lots of different videos in them. It's created so that your child can watch a little and then go do an activity, because I know that sometimes children have difficulty focusing over a really long period of time. We wanted to make this very doable for you. So in each lesson, there are multiple videos and there's a great student handbook. And so the first video will be an overview training video for the subject that week. And then after that, there will be little activity videos that help them engage in a physical activity to improve their body and their mind for the sport of riding. And each of those little videos is followed by a section in the workbook where they're actually going to be asked to go out and do a practice. This is a partnership. This is a really unique partnership between your riding instructor and me. And guess what? It's also a partnership with you. In this partnership, we hope that you will ask your student, how's it going? Have you done your lesson? Or if you see them practicing, please stick your head out the door and go, I love to watch you practice. Do you know a recent survey of really successful athletes, of Olympians and of NBA players and NFL players asked, what's the most valuable thing your parents ever did or said for you? And over and over, they said, my parents said, I love to watch you swim. I love to watch you play. I just love to watch. right? It's a statement that's complete without judgment. I'm not asking you to be a part of the judgment or the evaluation. The evaluation space belongs to your riding instructor. I'm going to put up some information and this great workbook. Your riding instructor is going to create a community, an online or remote community, and it'll be unique to the needs of your family and the business the riding instructor is creating, an online community where your kids can check in, post little videos or photographs of their practices or what else they're doing in their day. And the riding instructor will be over there posting what's going on in the barn or pictures of the horses or maybe the barn kitties. They're going to do whatever actually creates the fabric of community for your family, exactly like you're used to having in your barn. Isn't that going to be fantastic? So this beautiful partnership between you and I and your child's riding instructor exists for one purpose, and that is to both advance, well, two purposes. How's that? Maybe even three. Let's just rattle them off. It's going to advance riding knowledge and education for your student, but that's the least important. The more important thing is going to keep them in relationship with their barn family, their horse friends, their barn buddies, and keep the riding instructor in the relationship with the child. I have parents in my program that will testify that when their child is being difficult at home, they call me up so that I know, because when they show up here, I'm going to be the first person on the front line saying, have you been grateful for your parents today? Are you practicing your gratitude? Or are you being a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining the world will not devote itself to making you happy? See, my job is to help your child learn how to be a force of nature, a good citizen in their family and in their world. And these are the kind of conversations that I promise we're going to be delving into over the next 12 weeks. I'm not going to make it really heavy in the first week. They got to get to know me and trust me a little bit. But before we're done, we're going to be talking about how do you go through life and how do we take the knowledge of who we are as human beings to the horses so that we have great riding experiences. I want you to be absolutely convinced that I am fully committed to your child and your family and your barn community at large, getting great value out of this project. And your instructor and I are collaborating on a weekly basis to make sure that happens for you. Please say yes to this invitation.